Tony unexpectedly. Stefan becomes the head of DiMera, confronting Xander. Hold on to your seats, Salem fans, because the most shocking twist in DiMera history is unfolding before our eyes. In a dramatic turn of events, Tony DiMera has returned to town carrying more than just hope. He has rescued his long-lost brother Stefan from the clutches of evil and placed him firmly back at the helm of DiMera Enterprises. And now, with Stefan installed as the rightful head of the family, the brothers have set their sights on one man standing in their way, Xander Cook. After months of Tony's tireless pursuit of leads across continents, the mysterious and resourceful Tony landed in Alemania and staged a daring rescue that reads like an action thriller. Clutching Stefan's hand as they stepped through the grand gates of the DiMera mansion in Salem, Tony announced to the world that Stefan was not only alive but ready to reclaim his birthright. From that moment, the dynamic between the DiMera brothers and their power-hungry rival Xander Cook shifted irreversibly. No more whispers, no more doubts. Tony's bold move has cemented Stefan's return and set the stage for a high-stakes showdown that promises to reshape the future of DiMera Enterprises and leave Salem breathless. A brother lost to darkness. Tony's dramatic homecoming. Imagine the scene. The grand gates of DiMera Enterprises swing open to reveal Tony DiMera, stern of countenance but firm in resolve, emerging into the bright light of Salem for the first time since Stefan's disappearance. For weeks, Tony had worked in shadows, calling contacts in Alemania, following every lead, and searching tireless nights for any trace of his brother. And now, after a heart-pounding rescue that could be lifted from the pages of a thriller novel, Tony strides back into Salem clutching Stefan's hand, a sight that will surely bring tears of relief to more than one DiMera eye. Stefan's triumphant return. But Tony's return is only half the story. At his side stands Stefan himself, worn from captivity but unbroken in spirit. His once proud posture may have softened, and his eyes bear the weight of months spent in isolation, yet his presence ignites an electric charge throughout DiMera Enterprises and beyond. News of Stefan's safe arrival spreads like wildfire, sending shockwaves through Salem's marble halls and cozy cottages alike. "Brother," Tony whispers as he embraces Stefan in the DiMera boardroom, where family portraits watch on in silent approval. "You're home." Stefan returns the embrace, voice thick with emotion. "I've missed this place. I've missed my family." For Gabby Hernandez, who arrives breathless at the scene, the reunion is nothing short of miraculous. Tears flow freely as she wraps her arms around Stefan, the weight of summer nights spent waiting finally lifted. Their children watch with wide, curious eyes, too young to understand all the complexities but old enough to feel the overwhelming love in that moment. Claiming the mantle of leadership with Stefan back, Tony immediately takes steps to shore up the DiMera empire. He calls an emergency meeting at DiMera Enterprises. The stain of Xander Cook's recent machinations, attempts to exploit the family's vulnerabilities, still lingers in the corridors. Tony, ever the strategist, announces Stefan's return not just as an emotional triumph but as a declaration of renewed stability. "Xander," Tony's voice carries authority as he addresses the board, his gaze steely. "Your time running DiMera Enterprises ends now. Stefan is back, and he's ready to step into his role. The DiMera legacy is stronger than ever." Xander Cook, whose suave demeanor masks ruthless ambition, rises to protest. Yet even he senses the unstoppable momentum behind Stefan's return. The corridors of power tremble as Stefan takes his place at the head of the long boardroom table, the weighty CEO's chair before him. "Thank you, Tony," Stefan says, voice steady. "It feels good to sit here, to know I'm home and have a purpose once more. Together, we will rebuild, restore, and reclaim everything this family has lost." Confronting Xander Cook as the board meeting concludes, Tony corners Xander in a private hallway. Suspicion and anger flicker in Tony's eyes. "You thought you could take advantage of our loss," Tony says, tone low but dangerous. "You gambled on our division. But now Stefan is back, and the tables have turned. Xander attempts a defiant smirk, but his confidence wavers under Tony's glare. If you want to stay on this board, you'll play by our rules. No more backroom deals. No more power plays. Xander swallows, nodding reluctantly. The message is clear. The DiMera brothers stand united, and anyone who stands in their way faces the full force of their combined will. The road ahead in the aftermath of Stefan's return, Salem buzzes with renewed energy. Gabby and Stefan plan a heartfelt celebration to welcome him home, inviting family and friends to the DiMera mansion's grand ballroom. Roman and Marlena, who have supported the family through countless crises, stand proudly by Stefan's side, their smiles reflecting the collective relief. Yet challenges remain. Vivian Alamain lurks somewhere in the shadows, her motivation still unclear, her next move unpredictable. And Xander Cook, though cowed for now, will not fade quietly into the background. But for today, at least, the DiMera family basks in the glow of reunion and reclaimed power. With Stefan at the helm and Tony as his steadfast ally, Salem's most notorious dynasty is poised to enter a new era, one defined by unity, strength, and the unbreakable bonds of brotherhood. As the final strains of the gala celebration echo through the halls, one thing is certain: Salem will never be the same again. In the small but endlessly dramatic town of Salem, even the most routine conversations can lead to unexpected turns of emotion and conflict. Such is the case this week on Days of Our Lives, where a simple mention of a baseball game and the complex issue of co-parenting have grown into a storm of jealousy, legal wrangling, and heartfelt longing. A ball game between friends becomes a beacon of normalcy. Hospital corridors and medical charts rarely lend themselves to light-hearted banter, but during a quiet moment of respite, Roman Brady surprises everyone by mentioning the hope of attending a Chicago Cubs game with his friend Philip Kyriakis once he's discharged from the hospital. Not content to leave it at a general reference, Philip smiles and eagerly clarifies. He's dreaming of a showdown at Wrigley Field, cheering on the Cubs as they face off against the St. Louis Cardinals in the storied rivalry that has captured the hearts of baseball fans for well over a century. The moment is poignant. Even though the episode in which this conversation was filmed took place during the 2024 baseball season, life and art converge in a delightful twist. On the very day this episode airs, the Cubs and Cardinals are indeed locked in a 4-game series at Busch Stadium in St. Louis. For longtime viewers, and especially those over 65 who recall games won by Ernie Banks and Stan Musial, this feels like a gentle nod from the writers that, in Salem as in real life, some traditions remain timeless. Co-parenting conflicts ignite old wounds, yet while Roman and Philip find solace in thoughts of peanuts, hot dogs, and seventh-inning stretches, a far more volatile drama brews elsewhere. Xander Cook's latest demand, that he be granted sole custody of his and Sarah Horton's young daughter, Victoria, has set off a firestorm of indignation among both characters and fans. Xander's arguments, as he puts forth in court papers, boil down to very little more than accusing Sarah of lying to him in the past, and insisting that this alone should tip the scales of justice in his favor. For viewers over the age of 65 who have seen Salem's legal battles span decades, the parallels to the infamous Brady-Kristen custody case are impossible to ignore. Back then, many Salemites held their breath, fearing that history's dark shadow would repeat itself. They remembered how the judge nearly overlooked Kristen's violent history and manipulation to award her full custody of Rachel. Now, there's a communal hope, both on screen and off, that Xander's past misdeeds, from scheming against friends to threatening Sarah, will be weighed heavily in court. Why fans fear a repeat of past miscarriages of justice? Xander's pattern of coercion and deceit is well documented in Salem's annals. He has spied on Sarah, withheld vital medical information, and even conspired with some of the town's most notorious villains. In the collective memory of longtime viewers, these are not simply mistakes, but clear indicators of unfitness as a parent. Still, in Salem, the unthinkable can happen, and the only ways for Xander to secure sole custody might be through bribery, perjury, or exploiting legal loopholes. This raises a critical question for the show's older audience. Will Salem's judicial system finally hold him accountable? Or will the storyline veer toward the sensational, allowing Xander to manipulate the system and leave Sarah, already battered by loss and betrayal, without the child she loves? The human toll behind the headlines beyond the legal wrangling, the emotional toll on Sarah cannot be overstated. For a mother, the idea of losing her child, even temporarily, is a nightmare that eclipses most fears. Sarah's sleepless nights, tear-filled confessions to Marlena Evans, and desperate phone calls to Maggie Horton remind us all that custody battles are never just about law and papers, they're about love, trust, and the fundamental right to nurture one's child. On the flip side, Xander is portrayed, not as a cardboard villain, but as a man convinced he's fighting for his daughter's welfare. His wounded pride at being deceived, his sense of betrayal, and his misguided fervor give him a veneer of legitimacy in his own eyes. He insists that Victoria deserves stability and honesty, words he conveniently forgets when recounting his own manipulations. What lies ahead for Victoria and both parents? As the court date approaches, the community of Salem braces for an explosive showdown. Will the judge consider Xander's extensive history of underhanded tactics? Will Sarah's heartfelt testimony, bolstered by friends and family, move the scales of justice in her favor? Or will Xander, draped in self-righteous indignation, find a loophole to claim full custody, leaving Sarah to pick up the pieces? Fans are left with burning questions. Can this custody battle avoid the heartbreak of the past? Will Salem's legal system protect a mother's rights against a manipulative father? And ultimately, what kind of message does the show send about the welfare of children caught in the crossfire of adult conflicts? Join the conversation. We want to hear from you, our steadfast viewers aged 65 and up. How do you feel about Roman and Phillip's hopeful baseball outing? Does it kindle memories of your own days at the ballpark? What do you think of Xander's bid for sole custody? Should past crimes factor into the judge's decision? How would you advise Sarah to prepare her case? And her heart, for whatever the court may decide? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. As always, tune in to Days of Our Lives each weekday, and revisit this site for the latest news, spoilers, and spirited discussions from Salem's enduring community.